Okay, in this video, I'm going to talk about the 7 years that it took me to make my first million and everything I learned along the way. So let's get stuck in. So, first things first, the honest part. When you see videos like this, or here's how I made my first million and stuff, this is not one of these, right? I have not made hundreds of millions. I've made just over 2 million and I've made my clients a hell of a lot more. Now, this is money that I can prove. For my income, I've proved it in previous videos. But I just want to start off with that because the idea of me telling you how I made my first million makes you think, whoa, this guy's crazy loaded. Not the truth. But I think it'll be very helpful for those who are pursuing their first million. So, number one is 1 million was never the goal. And hopefully, this lands if you're sitting there last year, you done 500k, for example, 300k, whatever it was. And all of a sudden, you've got this £1 million or euro or dollar goal. My goal was always just to be stable. I came from jobs that I didn't particularly love. I was embarrassed to tell people that I worked in these places. And eventually, I became a personal trainer and started to run my own business and was like, wow, okay, this could be a job that I actually enjoy and end up being stable from it. Now, stable looks different to everybody, obviously. Um, but once I started to become stable, I started building confidence and I started to realize, wait a minute here. I could actually, really make a lot of money here because I've surrounded myself with people who are making way more, doing similar stuff. You start to open up your mind as soon as you're around people who are just doing crazy numbers. And so for me, I always wanted to make money, but it was never the biggest driving force. It was always, I just want to be proud of what I do and wake up every day loving it. And I know that sounds so cheesy and typical. I do miss that feeling though. But the point of this first one and why I wanted to start with this is like when I wasn't pursuing £1 million or a big number, it seemed easier because as soon as I made my first million, see, trying to make the next lot, and maybe it's because of expectations, maybe it's demand, you demand more from yourself. I'm not so sure, but it's been harder ever since you get better. You just think to yourself, I'm capable. And then you keep moving the goalposts, and all of a sudden, it's just the mountain seems higher and higher and higher because your expectations are higher. And of course, that's just the cost of ambition, isn't it? But yeah, I just wanted to note that down. So hopefully, if you're right now feeling like your first million or your first insert number that you're trying to get to feels very, very difficult, first 100k or whatever, then understand the more you focus on it, I'm not so sure the easier it is, or the easier it is to make it attain. I think hopefully by the next few that I show you in this video, you'll maybe switch your direction a little bit and switch your focus. Number two is the more you make, the more fun you lose. Now, this might be a little bit controversial, but you have to be aware, like, you have to understand that the more aware you are and driven you are as a business owner, it can make it very, very hard to enjoy the ride. So, I feel like when I say this, it's like, oh, poor little business owners, it's like you've got your business, you're making all your money. How hard is it really? But it's like anything in life. Like you could be doing anything. It doesn't matter how much money you make. Like you could be doing a thing that you don't love and you just do it. And business is one of those things that's so rewarding, but it's equally very, very challenging. And some people feel weird about this because it's just like, well, go back to a normal job then. It's like, well, normal jobs are challenging as well. They have the good days and bad days. You've just chosen a different path. That's all it is. So I put this in here because I have found that the more money I make, the more fun I lose. And it gets very difficult to keep yourself on the track of why am I doing this in the first place? And hopefully this lands for a few people because like everybody sells you the glory and the the fame or the outcome of making a lot of money and the dream life and stuff. But the reality is, the more you make, the more you go down a rabbit hole of seriousness, like following a goal and obsession and stuff like that. So it's like anything, for every goal that you chase, and if you go all in, there's going to be elements of obsession, and there's nothing wrong with being obsessed. It's just there's always a trade off. So I say this to you right now that if you're just obsessing over trying to be successful, then understand that you're going to have times where you just don't enjoy it and you don't have a lot of fun. So fight it. Number three is profit is king. Really simple. I don't think I have to explain this too much, but you talk about making your first million. Would you rather make a million and your profit margins are 20%, or would you rather make 500k and your profit margins are 80%? You just got to think about that. You've got to think about what you take home. You got to think about how much stress is involved in order to get to where you want to get to. And in the business scene and online, YouTube, Instagram, everything's about revenue numbers. Oh, we hit this, we hit that. And the number doesn't matter. Your top line revenue number does not matter if at the end of it you've got barely any left. So I'm going to talk about another slide in a minute that will tie back to this, but you've got to remember that profit is king. Always remember that. Optimize your business around that, optimize your life around it, because right next to profit is time, how much time you've got. And if someone makes $1 million but they have little profit and they have little time back, the number does not matter. Okay, so moving on here, hire slow, fire fast. And I heard that statement a few years back and I was always like, I felt like it was just a buzzword. The reason that this is normally flipped, where you hire fast, is like because you need a job done, and once you start making good money, you get very, speaking from experience here, you get very lackadaisical with doing your due diligence. So, for example, I'm going to launch a YouTube channel and I need edits done and I need this and I need that. It's like, right, okay, let's go and search for it. Yep, okay, let me see your work. Yeah, okay, here's, $500, $1,000 a month, manage that. Okay, I need a setter, boom, 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 let's do that. And because you're ambitious and stuff, you want to, and you know that speed is important in business, you then get a little bit blinded by judgment and you just want things solved. And it's all about putting fires out. So you're over here trying to solve that problem. Remember, the staff leaves, so you have to replace someone straight away because you want to make sure you're still doing your things. But the truth is you do need to hire slow. Otherwise, it'll be very, very expensive if you don't. And then fire fast, like, I know that sounds harsh to human beings, but like when it says fast in business terms with hiring and team is usually longer. It's usually like 90 days and stuff. It's not Monday you're sacked. But for me, I held on to certain team members because I didn't know how to do the job. I didn't know how to deal with the problems. It's like, it's fine, it'll be all right. There's good days, bad days, let's deal with that. And it ends up being a virus inside your business. So that's my experience with hire slow, fire fast, if it helps for you, if you've not experienced that yet. Because I used to hear this and just be like, what does that even mean? And then we move on to knowing your numbers. Arguably, out of this, all of these slides here that I'm showing you, knowing your numbers is by far my weakness. It always has been. I like to just show up. I like to draw stuff. I like to create stuff. I like to give value. And I like to help clients get big, big results. And numbers is just always a part that I hated. I hated it from when I was a PT all the way through. I used to be in a PT. I would just check what was left in my bank at the end of the month. In fairness to me, there wasn't a lot of business help back then. But yeah, even now, like it's a fight for me to do my numbers and know them. Like it is a real fight, but it's the biggest needle mover in your business. And I have been stung not knowing my numbers, right through from thinking I'm great, money's in the bank, book a big holiday. Well, did you know that you have to pay VAT next week? Did you not know that? Well, you should have known that. You should have known your numbers to then know that as well. And so you get a lot of expensive lessons when you do not know your numbers. You also can't make proper moves in business until you know the numbers. And if you just try and wing it, you will be stung one day. And I don't want you to be stung, but some people need it for them to go, wow, okay, let's sort this number thing. Next one is stay in your zone of genius. I don't know if you can see back here. There is paper, there is pens, drawing, there's a whiteboard over here, there's a physical whiteboard, digital whiteboard. That's my zone of genius, is creating stuff. And I will build my full business around making sure that I'm in my zone of genius. And that for me is creating stuff and putting it out to the world, building things. And there's going to be times where you have to just wake up in the morning and do the shit you don't want to do. But after that, do the stuff you don't want to do and then give yourself time to be in your zone of genius. Because at the end of the day, the thing that will drive the business forward is you, the entrepreneur, being in your absolute zone of genius for as much time as possible in your day and in your week. And there's a lot of business owners I know who are really, really small businesses where they're just never in their zone of genius. They maybe are for like 1 hour a day if they're lucky. I think I like coaches and they do check-ins and they love it because they're coaching clients, but it's like 1 hour a week, a couple of hours a week, and the rest of it is just firefighting. And I say this, by the way, but if you're a single business owner and let's say your zone of genius is coaching, let's say it's talking to clients, communication, if you've not earned the right, if you're not where you want to be financially, you can't just stay in that zone of genius all the time. You need to go and do the legwork, or you need to pay someone to do it for you. So for example, if you do not like sales and marketing and content and appointment setting, You can't just sit here and say, oh, but I'm in my zone of genius. Like, you have to go and do those things, or you have to pay someone else to do that stuff, because it's the stuff that's needing done. Okay. But for me, I'll plan my full week around my time. Simple example is when I have my morning coffee. It's the absolute best time of the day. So when I'm having my coffee, I need to be doing stuff that I enjoy, not emails, not things I don't want to do. I'm in my zone of genius. Flaky clients, flaky business. The flakier the clients that you help, the flakier your business will always be. So you can't polish a turd. And if you deal with business owners and individuals who just are flaky, you can sit here and say, oh, I want to improve the mindsets of these people and things. That's cool, as long as you're getting paid for that. But understand that if you have clients who have got low income, high volatility, they don't work on themselves, they don't have much desire to improve themselves physically, mentally, whatever it might be, then understand that they will be flaky. And with that comes the flaky finances, which then turns into your income and your revenue and your communication with them. And you will just be dreading your business all the time with your communication channels. You'll just dread it. You'll hate it. And again, in business, sometimes we've got to ride that wave and earn the right to get these best clients or whatever. But do your best to find the flakiness early as possible. Yes, coach people through it. And yes, try and get the best out of people. But overall, if 50% of your clients are flaky, then your business is going to be very, very flaky. And this took me so long to understand that I can't even tell you. Next is waiting for the game changer is never the answer. The one thing that fixes everything is not coming. So I say this purely from a personal experience. You might not relate to it too much, but I always feel like there's something next big coming. Give you an example of that. Like, I remember when I went to ClickFunnels, an event in Florida, learned a bunch of stuff there, and I thought, when I go back here, like, I am going to dominate. I can tell. And I came back and I did not dominate. I did well, whatever, improve stuff and things. When I rebranded the business as the M&R agency, I thought, this is it. Like, this is going to be a game changer. And it wasn't. And it wasn't that these things fail or anything like that. It's just that you put stuff on a pedestal and you let yourself down because your expectations are so high and you don't look at the downside. When you get too excited in business, you only see the upside. And that's one of the biggest things that it seems like a bit of a negative look on things, but whenever you're excited and stuff in business, a mentor one told me it's like infatuation. So I remember thinking, like, when I moved to Dubai and get my office there, that's it, like, things are going to take off. And because I was so excited, I wasn't even listening to my own advice, and it's infatuation. And so what I had to do was go, right, if moving to Dubai is going to be the be all and end all, what's the downside? And if you sit there and say none, it's like there's always a downside. And you have to look at that infatuation feeling and go, right, okay, it's the same as like in marriage and relationships. And you think back to in school when you just saw, somebody you fancied or loved and you were like, they are the best thing ever. You're infatuated and you don't see the downside. It's the same as when people cheat and all that. They only see the grass is greener and they don't see the downside in those particular things. It's a bit like business. So my advice to you is, if you're getting so excited by one thing, always look for the downside. I know it feels like dousing your enthusiasm and excitement, but it's just reality, because not everything, like, there's very few things in business. In fact, there's very few things that actually are game changers. Everything else is just another thing that needs work and consistency. So yeah, sorry to take that away. If you've got something right now that you think is going to be a game changer, something in the pipeline, challenge yourself for the downside. And almost done here. Freedom is a lie. Like, I have seen, we're fortunate enough to live in a world now where we can listen to podcasts with CEOs who have sold a company for 50 million, 100 million, 200 million. And they sit there and they say that they're bored. They've got all that freedom and they're just bored. They want to be back building businesses. And most of them always end up go back to build a business. So my point to this is, like, chasing that freedom goal will just not get you anywhere. And, you might think that that's sitting on your laptop in a foreign country. That's cool. You can call it that. But I think it's the wrong goal to chase. I think the right goal to chase is what I said earlier about you being in your zone of genius. That's true freedom, mental freedom. Try and just be in your zone of genius. So don't think of freedom. And again, freedom will mean something different to everybody. But especially like when you're in person business, like I was a PT and I was like, oh, this online game, you never have to go to a location. You don't have to set your alarm. You have to meet people. You can just do it all from your laptop. Sounds great, doesn't it? But look at all the people who are online now, sitting in their house and fed up being in their house. They want to go and meet clients and meet community. Again, everybody's different. But I just don't think freedom exists. I think freedom is your diary, how you wake up in a day and do the things that you love, followed by the things that will keep you progressing. Remember, If in your week you have stuff that does not push you out your comfort zone, then you will just go stale as a human being. You need things that just make you go and challenge you every single day. And I don't think true freedom, if you gave someone all the money in the world, it wouldn't work. Like, you look at lottery winners who just waste it. And moving on here, money isn't the be all and end all, but it makes it a hell of a lot easier. There's a lot of white knights out there, right? It's a bit like fat loss. They go, you don't have to lose fat to love yourself, right? I tell you something, losing fat if you're obese or you carry a lot of fat and you're leaner. So being skinny isn't the be all and end all, but being leaner will certainly help you will go a long way, make life a hell of a lot easier, not just aesthetically, but for your whole health. It's the same with money. People go, oh, money's the evil and you shouldn't always focus on money. Like, I had a mentorship program where people were like, all Chris cares about is making money. It's like, I'm a business coach and you came to me for business help. Like, and again, I'm not driving this money's everything thing. I've already spoke to you about being in my zone of genius. That's, that's all I care about. I could go back and live with my mum's if I lost all my money and I would like build it back again. It's not about that. It's just that I have seen clients of mine like buying their dream home with their family members and just being ridiculous. One of them crying because they've got their dream home all through the business. I've seen people need major operations and being able to pay for it for their family and for themselves because they have money. I've seen them be able to take their family abroad and go holidays. I've seen them be able to family car, pay off their family's debts and mortgages and stuff. It makes life a hell of a lot easier. In a world that everybody's struggling mentally, anxiety and all of this sort of stuff, money can help that. So money is a tool, and it should not be scrutinised, but it also shouldn't be put on a pedestal either. So, final one, and this is a bonus one. I promised I'll give you 10. This is 11. Take 100% ownership always. Trust me, throughout my business journey, I have blamed people, I've blamed things, I've blamed the algorithm, I've blamed staff, I've blamed the weather, I've blamed the gym I've been working in, I've blamed my upbringing, I've blamed my bank account, I've blamed every single thing you can imagine. And as I've progressed, I've started to realise that the only person that takes 100% ownership of the business is you. And I've had clients I've worked with who are like, oh, it's your fault I didn't grow. It's like, mate, you're here for help. Take 100% of your ownership of your business always. Have I invested in stuff that hasn't worked? Yep. Have they advertised something that they didn't deliver on? Yep. But whose fault's it? Mine. Yours. Take 100% ownership always. It gives you the power. And my God, when you have that power in business, you will be unstoppable. That's a lot. 7 years, 2 million. And that's the stuff no one really tells you. Hope you found it useful. If you have, I'd love to go in the comments. If you've got any value to add that I've said as well, then of course add it in the comments and it'll make this video even more valuable. And by the way, if you want more videos, this one here will be very suitable for you.